Hello and welcome to the Final Whistle with me, Daniel Waterson, looking back at Saturday's 2-1 defeat at Easter Road against Aberdeen. Coming up, James and I talk through the match, and we also have post-match thoughts of Eddie May and Ollie Shaw. But first, let's remind ourselves of the action with Hibs TV's Cliff Pike and Keith Reid.
He finds Paul Hanlon, back again for Shaw, driving towards the edge of the 18-yard box. Shaw shoots, what a strike from Ollie Shaw! 1-0 Hibs! Terrific finish from Ollie Shaw, showing all the confidence a striker has after he's got a couple of goals to his name. Ollie Shaw, goal and an assist last week. Strode forward there, nothing else in his mind other than hitting that one. And he sticks it behind Joe Lewis into the corner of the net. And after 8 minutes, it's Hibs 1, Aberdeen 0.
Yeah, great play from Ollie Shaw, nicking the ball away from Shea Logan initially, and then getting the return pass from Sleevkin, running onto it. Bash, goal. Hibs 1, Aberdeen 0.
Composed finish from Ollie Shaw there. He looked up, he saw where Joe Lewis was and stuck it sweetly right in the bottom corner, the bottom left corner as we look at it. Joe Lewis's right hand corner. Ball whipped in again though by Mackay Stephen. Off the post. The ball's in the back of the net though. Aberdeen have the equaliser. Hibs couldn't deal with the ball into the box. And after 10 minutes we're all square. Bartley can't win it ahead of Stewart, but he goes for the shot again. Marciano spilled it. He done brilliantly to recover it. Hibs claiming for offside though. It's not going to be given though. Aberdeen have the lead.
Okay, James, 2-1 defeat against Aberdeen after a hell of an eventful week at Easter Road. I think not only the result itself was poor, but probably the manner of the defeat was the most worrying thing about that one today.
It was disappointing really in so many ways. I mean, I thought it's one of the softest Hibs performances I've seen in a long time, and I mean we've for the past 2 or 3 seasons, or we've eulogised about kind of how this is a Hibs team with backbone. It's a Hibs team that's robust, that is able to kind of stand up to challenges like that, and not get blown over like Hibs teams have in the past. But I think this is a return to the days where when our backs were at the wall and we needed to grind out 3 points, we just couldn't do it. I thought Aberdeen were, I mean, if I'm an Aberdeen fan going back today, take nothing away from their performance, because I thought they were by far the better side, but I'm disappointed we only won 2-1. Because that was a real opportunity to lay down a marker today. I mean, Aberdeen win 2-1 in the end, having missed a penalty, and 2 1-on-1s in the second half. For this Hibs team not to even really work Thomas Cherney in that second half, who's Aberdeen's second choice keeper after their first choice keeper goes off, after the informed striker goes off injured, and without their best defender. It's extremely disappointing, but I think at the root today what we saw was a team without a manager and without ideas against a team with a manager and with ideas and with that structure in place. Against this Aberdeen team, if you're a goal down, you're finding it difficult because they're so well drilled and so well organised, and are a lot of those players have played together for a while. The likes of Graham Shinney, Shea Logan, Andy Considine, even Mackay Stephen, they know the job, they know what they have to do, and we were just never going to break them down today, and it's extremely disappointing. I think it kind of shows the way this team has regressed really from the home game here against Aberdeen in September, where it wasn't a great performance, but we still came out with a point. That's the difference.
It's been a fairly eventful week. I think it was at Tuesday we got the confirmation that Neil Lennon and Gary Parker have left. There's been kind of conversation about whether we go for a temporary body to see out the season, or whether you kind of bring in a new face and let them start now. I think based on that today, we just need a fresh mind. We need someone in now to come in and just look at this squad from a completely different light.
Yeah, and I mean, we've said before in here, alright, given that we have injuries this week to Daryl Horgan, Ryan Porteous out to the end of the season, Martin Burl out to the end of the season, looking at that Hibs squad, it's not a bad squad. It's not a squad that should be sitting 7th or 8th in the league, wherever we are now after today's results. 7th, I think. We're still 7th.
7th, yeah.
it's not a squad that should be sitting 7th in the league. It's not a squad, or it's certainly not a team that should be putting performances like that today on, because that was very poor. And it's, with the right person in charge and with the right ideas, it's a squad that could, you know, maybe not quite achieve the highs of last season, but you know, could be up there fighting. But you're right. I mean, it needs somebody with new ideas. It needs somebody who can look at it in a different way that it's been looked at already this season. I mean, it definitely needs somebody just to restore a little bit of confidence and restore a little bit of faith. And I mean, I thought there were small bright spots today. Ollie Shaw scores a very good goal, and I think maybe out in double figures for this season now in all competitions. I thought Big Romano, when he came on, without being spectacular, looked alright.
Yep.
I thought Mark McNulty worked extremely hard when he came on. Didn't quite fall for him, but you know, there's positives to take from that, even if they are relatively minor. But we need leadership. It's basically what we need. We need leadership, and whether that's an interim boss to the end of the season and then go from there, whether it is somebody being appointed you know, on a permanent basis, it needs sorted out, and it needs sorted out quickly.
So to kind of go over this game, there's 3 changes from the team that beat St Mirren. In come Ollie Shaw, Mark Milligan and Lewis Stevenson. Hibs, I thought, were going to be diamond daft after last week's game, where, considering we essentially now have no wingers, and the diamond got us 3 goals against St Mirren. I thought that would have been the setup. Instead, we go back to 3-5-2, which for me, I can't think of one occasion this season where we've played 3-5-2 and it's went well. In fact, I can't even think of one occasion this season where we've started 3-5-2 and not had to change it up until today, where we stuck with the shape. But when Neil Lennon was doing it and we were underperforming and losing goals, we were always changing to a back 4 again.
Yeah, and I thought it was a very odd decision. You know, I mean, I can almost understand, given the attacking threat that Aberdeen have or had at the start of the game, and the players they had on the pitch at the start of the game. I can almost understand why 3-5-2 was chosen. But you're absolutely right. Like, I mean, if something's not, you know, working, then there's no point doing it again. I mean, what's the quote about it being, you know, definition of insanity is just doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. I mean, once again, it doesn't really matter what combination of players you seem to try it in. It's just not working for us at the moment. And you're right. I mean, albeit against a much poorer side in St Mirren last week, we went, you know, that diamond in the second half. We were much better. And you know, given how poor we were for the hour leading up to that in that game, you know, the last half an hour, I thought we looked solid. I didn't really think we looked in any danger. All right, we have one clear off the line, but it was slightly baffling, and it's obviously something that's backfired, because I just don't think we ever really looked comfortable in that formation today at all.
Right from kick-off, it just looks so defensive. We were so deep, and I get it, but I mean, it sounds like we're doing Aberdeen a disservice. We're not. We appreciate how good a side they are, but it was all about kind of how on the back foot Hibs were right from the off. And I think it's about 6 or 7 minutes in before we get our first chance. Marvin Bartley does very well to release Stevie Mallon.
Nice little ball through.
Good save from Joe Lewis. And then, I don't know, 30 seconds after that, Ollie Shaw picks up the ball. And it's a tidy finish from a player that has every right to be high on confidence after last Sunday.
It's an absolutely tremendous finish, and you're right what you said at half time. It was a man of the match display from Ollie last week, and that's a great strike. You know, I mean, I don't want to take anything away from him. You don't know. We talked about the fact the sun was really low and it was kind of coming across the Aberdeen goalmouth at that stage. From the sort of in between the south stand and the west stand, but I mean, take nothing away, it's a great strike, and it's another goal for Ollie, who I think, you know, even with Mark McNulty coming in competition for places, has possibly been our best striker this season, and probably has been our best striker this season. Given his performances, I think I don't want to repeat it, he might be in double figures now. I think he is, but I'm not sure about that. Now that I've said it, it is probably wrong. but
I really think with Shaw, people take his age for granted.
I think they do, and I mean, I think as well, like, you know, he is a young player. There's aspects of his game that he needs to work on, but I mean, finishing is a real strong point for him, and that was a really good strike. And Julius is one of the best keepers in the country, and you know, he's not keeping that one out. So, I mean, fair play to Ollie, and I think he deserves to keep starting, really. You know, because I think for the most part of this season, he's been very impressive.
Yeah, and at that point when the goal went in, I thought to myself, right, okay, it's been a kind of wobbly start. That's exactly what we needed. And I think before I'd even finished that thought, Aberdeen have a free kick right in the edge of the box, and what followed is just not good enough. There's about 4 chances that they really could and should score from within about 30-45 seconds. Milligan has a fantastic block, Gray then has a fantastic block on the line to prevent a goal, but it's just a sea of red jerseys waiting for every single second ball, and Considine has the easiest job heading in for about 3 or 4 yards to level it up.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was really telling that, you know, you saw an Aberdeen side there that were a goal down and had just about their entire team in the box for that free kick. In the second half, when we were a goal down, you know, we were moving forward with 4 players in the Aberdeen half against just about the entire Aberdeen team. It's a really good block by Milligan the first time. It's an absolute outstanding header by David Gray, he's actually behind the line when he heads it, and he heads it almost off the underside of the bar and away. It's a great header, but again, you know, we can't clear the ball. You know, we can't get the ball away. And for a side like, you know, us up against a side like Aberdeen with that sort of attacking talent and with that kind of drive to get forward and get bodies in the box, you can't be giving them chances like that. It's an extremely disappointing goal to lose.
Yeah, and then from there the game, it was just fairly frantic. It was every time Hibs got in the Aberdeen half, there was space to create something, but it never really happened. Whereas every time Aberdeen were attacking Hibs, they were just walking by players. You know, there was a couple of moments where I think it's Lowe's got the ball. This is a left back's got the ball. He's surrounded by maybe 2 or 3 green shirts, and he's coming through fairly with little to no challenge, getting balls in the box, and yeah, it's just really poor from the Hibs team. It's something we've not seen from a Hibs side for a long time. Stewart has a volley which is brilliantly held by Ophir Marciano, and then about a minute, 2 minutes later after that, there's a shot that's pretty tame. Marciano can't hold it this time, and it's there's 2 of them queuing up to tap it in.
I think Ophir will be disappointed not to hold it. He makes one really good stop in the second half from Wilson when he's throwing goal, but I mean, that one, I don't know if he just sees it late, if there's bodies in the way, if it maybe moves or anything, but he should really be holding it. It's a really good second save from Stevie May, but you know, again, talked about Aberdeen getting bodies in the box, getting players up in attacking positions. Okay, I think it's, you know, Stewart misses the first one, May misses the second one, Gary Mackay-Steven gets a third chance, and I mean, obviously he's going to score. It's a tight angle. It's actually a really neat finish. He puts it right in the far corner from what is a difficult angle to score. And we saw Connor Salmon try it a couple of weeks ago against Hibs and hit the outside of the post. But it's the difference between a Gary Mackay-Steven and Connor Salmon there. But you know, I mean, you can't be giving, you know, Aberdeen 3 separate opportunities to put the ball in the back of the net there, and particularly, you know, like I said, Ophir will be disappointed that he doesn't hold it, but he has to ask questions of his defence. He has to ask questions of the 5 players who are in front of him, and 5 defenders on the pitch, and Aberdeen have 3 separate chances to score. You know?
Even the equaliser, Considine's there, but there's at least one, maybe more, waiting to also tap that in with no green shirts near them whatsoever.
Yeah, it was poor defensively from Hibs today, and as you've already said, it was soft. I mean, I don't know how many times in the second half that Aberdeen players, I mean, not even just the attacking players, guys like Greg Stewart, guys like Max Lowe, Mackay-Steven, even guys like Stevie May, which I'm sure people have their own opinions on Stevie May, but these are the type of attacking players you expect to be kind of run defenders and put them under pressure. But when guys like Graham Shinney are just sort of waltzing through 3 or 4 different challenges and not being, you know, stopped. I mean, there's one in the second half where Shinney, I mean, he wins the ball off Mark McNulty, and he must have made about 4 challenges before McNulty eventually brings him down. And right. It's Mark McNulty, our striker, chasing back about 40-50 yards to make the foul. And I mean, you know, the players themselves will know that it's poor, but I mean, it was surprisingly bad today, because, you know, we've watched this Hibs team over the past few years grow, and we've watched these players look like, you know, top quality players, and to see them perform that poorly today was disappointing. It was really, really bad.
More shortly, but let's hear from Eddie May speaking after the game.
Eddie, a bit of a frustrating afternoon, went a goal ahead, ended up losing the game 2-1. Plenty of effort, but just didn't get the breaks maybe when we needed them.
Yes, I think we started the game very well, but the biggest disappointment, lose a goal 3 minutes later. But that happens in football. Players do make mistakes, but the quality of Aberdeen, what I've got, they certainly punished us for the chances that they had.
They're a very strong side, Aberdeen, defensively. They showed that in the second half. I thought we had much more of the ball in the second half, much more in a forward sense, but they're a difficult side to break down.
Yeah, I think if you look at over the last few years, that's why they finished second. But they've got very good quality at the top end of the pitch, so not only their defence is good, they can then hit you on the counter-attack. They've got pace and ability.
From our point of view, you started the new lads on the bench today, but Bizzy Ramana, Mark McNulty came on. They acquitted themselves quite well. It's a case of they're going to have to settle in but hit the ground running at the same time.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfair on them. They only turned up yesterday, so it's a big ask for them just to go and put right into an SPL game. But when the two of them come on, I hopefully can show their qualities, and hope we can get the benefit of that in the second part of the season.
Doesn't get any easier. Celtic at Parkhead on Wednesday night, but those are the kind of games that you're up against in the Premiership, and they've just got to get in there and go again.
Yes, I don't think there is any easy games. You could be playing the team at the bottom of the league and it would be challenging. So one thing you know about Celtic, they'll pass it, they'll move it, and they'll test you in all different ways, and we have to be good enough to be brave enough to get on the ball and really make a real impression rather than just going long all the time, in which we will encourage the players to go and do.
Aberdeen tried to close us down a lot today. You see Celtic will be different, might see a little bit more time on the ball. It's up to us to make use of the time that we do get on the ball and take any chances that we get through there.
Yes, I think Celtic are a different style completely from Aberdeen, but Celtic are very clever what they do. They suck you into certain areas and then they'll go and hit you on the counter-attack, and again they've got power, pace and ability, which we'll try to have to combat, but we'll have to go brave enough to go on the ball and really go and make an impression at Celtic Park.
To see out the rest of the first half, I think Malin has the free kick that goes just wide. It sees Joe Lewis go off for Thomas Cherney. Marciano has a poor clearance that leads to a long range effort from Wilson, which just fizzes past the post, and at half time you're kind of thinking, okay, we'll maybe change the shape, we'll just we were expecting Aberdeen to drop deeper, because that seems to be what Derek McInnes's style is, to take a lead and then see it out. And I mean, the first 5 minutes of that second half, the individual mistakes were just absurd. Everyone was giving the ball away so cheaply, and then Derek Ferguson is a very talented prospect in the making. Lewis Ferguson. Derek Ferguson's son is a very talented prospect in the making. Aberdeen will see it as a wonderful solo run from him to win the penalty, but we are seeing him just walk past 2 or 3 players who put in such powder puff challenges, and then even the foul itself to give it away is daft. And
it's David Gray bundling over Lewis Ferguson, it's Danny McGregor bundling over Lewis Ferguson. So nobody can actually tell who anybody is anymore. It's Dan McGregor.
Green guy pushed the red guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's poor, and Lewis Ferguson's a very talented player, and you can see why Aberdeen were willing to shell out, what was it, 750,000 in compensation for him, which is a lot of money for what is effectively a free transfer, bizarrely. But he's a very talented player, and if you have guys like that going up against you, you can't let them have a run at you. And we do, but even then it's clumsy from McGregor to give the penalty away. But even that, you have Ferguson, who was playing quite deep in the midfield today, was in our box. I mean, how many times did you see today, barring when he plays through Malin in the first half, Marvin Bartley in the Aberdeen box? And that's not a criticism of Marvin Bartley, it's not his job to be in the box.
You've already talked about Shinnie busting forward.
Exactly. It's you have these sort of defensive players for Aberdeen who are like playing so far up, it puts us under pressure, and we just didn't kind of reciprocate that at the other end. it's disappointing. In the end, it's actually a good save by Alfredo Marciano, who he almost changed his direction.
It was definitely still on his line when he saved that.
Definitely still on his line. His line's the one just the 6-yard line, isn't it?
Yeah, 6-yard line's what I mean. Yeah.
No, it was a good save from Marciano. He actually looks like he's going the wrong way, but kind of corrects himself and pushes it wide. But again, he's entitled to ask questions of his defence there.
Yep, and it just didn't get any better from there. Bajiri Mana comes on for Bartley. Probably one of the few bright sparks, as you mentioned. I thought he looked kind of pretty assured.
He looked kind of very comfortable on the ball. I don't think he didn't give the ball away too much at all. He was on the pitch for about 40 minutes or so, and a lot of. They weren't sort of difficult passes, but there were passes that kind of made sure we were still in possession, made sure we kept the ball. Didn't really do anything with it, but that's not Big Romano's fault necessarily. But yeah, I thought he looked comfortable without being spectacular, which is kind of is what I thought of him at Motherwell. It could be a very shrewd signing if paired with the right kind of combination in midfield. Yeah,
and chances. Shaw has a goal disallowed for offside. There's little to no complaints. Hanlon has the header that brings out a decent save from Czerny, but it's going slow enough that he has time to get himself across. At the other end, Lewis Stevenson has a vital block from, I think it is a shinny shot, to keep it at 2-1. Canberra has a couple of half chances from headers, one of which was from a corner that he really looked like he should have done better with.
It was one of those where I don't know if it's the ball kind of dropping over the defender's head and he just doesn't quite see it, because it's an odd one, the way he almost tries to flick it behind him, but it's one of those that, looking back, I think he'll know he should be scoring.
Were you surprised to see McNulty replace Shaw and not Canberra, just given that Shaw had got the goal and the confidence in him?
Yeah, and I liked about Flo Canberra's performance today. He was very physical, and he was going up against guys like Considine and Hoban in the Aberdeen backline, and at least sort of giving them a physical match. The problem was he got booked, and I thought it was a very, very harsh booking.
Ridiculous yellow card.
He gets booked for a foul that I thought was a bit of a soft foul. He throws his arms up in the air. It's not as if he's got right in Don Robertson's face.
Yeah, that's
as other players on the pitch may have done.
How can you get booked for being a little dramatic with the arms?
It was a very harsh booking, and I thought that what you do then with keeping Flo Canberra on is you run the risk of him getting sent off, and the last thing we needed in that game was less players on the pitch. So I think Ollie's entitled to be a bit disappointed as well, given that he's scored. Alright, the one that he puts in the back of the net is offside, but it's actually a very good save from Czerny from his first effort there, but the second effort is a really good finish. He puts it right in the top corner. He looked lively, I thought, today, and I thought his first touch at times today was excellent, but I think he will be a little bit disappointed. But it was good to see Mark McNulty get on and get his debut. I thought he looked energetic. I thought he was chasing down a lot of balls. He already said he chases back and he fouls Graham Shinnie in the end, but the fact he's willing to make that kind of 40-50 yard run to kind of track the run is impressive, I guess. So yeah, obviously a lot more to come from him. Yeah,
and a couple of chances for Aberdeen. I think Wilson again just walks past the defender and he's through on goal. It's a fantastic save from Marciano. He's late to deny it. Yeah, and then Gold comes on for Malin. Too late to make an impact, but there was a moment you kind of touched on it, how Aberdeen defenders were in the box looking for stuff. There was a moment in injury time where all five of our back three and our two wing backs are in the Hibs half whilst we are chasing an equaliser.
Yeah, just in a big straight line, sort of, when you look at the cut of the pitch, the sort of lines in the pitch, they were all on one line across those. You just can't be doing it. If you think back to last season when we were chasing games or trying to grind out wins, guys like Paul Hanlon
are pushing these guys forward,
and guys like Paul Hanlon, who's playing centre half, spent most of the last 5 minutes last season in somebody else's box and was bombing on, and we did see that a little bit today, but kind of not really quite enough. And that's kind of where we're falling down at the moment. Is there's not enough of a creative spark, and there's not enough of a, I don't want to say a willingness to go forward, but like a drive to get forward, and that's where it's hurting us, because we can we can look at Flo Canberry's performance and we can say that, okay, wasn't his best today, there's a couple of chances he's missed. Or we can look at Ollie Shaw's performance and say, right, he gets his goal but doesn't really do enough else. Or Stevie Mallon's performance and say, again, he's too far back. But if your defence is lying so deep that in the last minute of the game they're still 10 yards in front of their own box, the rest of the team has to drop deeper, because then the gap between the defence and the rest of the team is huge.
And despite those 5 guys being that deep, James Wilson still somehow gets through one-on-one, but thankfully puts it wide.
It's a team which at the moment looks devoid of leadership. It looks devoid of ideas, and I think that starts from the dugout. Eddie May's already come out and said he doesn't want the job, which fair enough if that's the way he feels. That's his decision. But I think the fact that I think the players know that Eddie May is not going to be there the whole time. Not that he doesn't command respect, because obviously he does. He's still the interim manager, but it doesn't have the same kind of authority that having somebody permanently in the dugout does, even if it is just till the end of the season. It's having like an actual sort of figurehead and an actual sort of manager. It'll be interesting to see what the next week to 2 weeks brings. If we are going to appoint an interim boss, I think it would be beneficial to have the permanent manager lined up pretty early, in the same way that Aberdeen did with Derek McInnes. I think they had, was it Craig Brown was manager before McInnes at Aberdeen? I think he had a couple of years. I think McInnes was actually appointed in March or April, and it gave him that kind of month, 2 months to look at the team, look at what was needed, and came in from the off was impressive. Cause I think whether they win the League Cup in the first season under McInnes, I think. Similarly, and I can't believe I'm saying this, Stephen Gerrard at Rangers, had time to look at what this team needed, was able to sort of plan his team. They got most of their signings done really early.
It gives kind of fans a lift, and because that's kind of my biggest worry about watching that today, was there's a sort of general malaise around the whole stadium, and you don't want this season to drift off into, you hark back to kind of like the end of mixed with Pat Linen's reign, the Colin Calderwood era, where we're just kind of there, we're just there.
Nobody involved in any football club wants the season to be over in January or February. You want to have something to play for right at the end of the season, and I should specify, you want to have something to play for at the right end of the table at the end of the season, because we've been there before as well. You want to have 2 or 3 games to go. Are we going to get into Europe? Are we going to do a little bit better than that? Are we going to be at Hampden? That's what you want, because the kind of the apathy that it creates of being 6th, 7th in the table and not really being able to go anywhere, it does affect the entire team, from the team on the pitch to in the dugout to the fans in the stand. And the gap between us and St Johnstone at the moment isn't massive. But I mean, we've played poorly against St Johnstone here, and that's the gap at the moment. We played poorly against Livingston here and away from home, who are in and about. Admittedly, they got beat, 3-0 today at Motherwell, which is now another thing to worry about, because Motherwell are 2 points behind us.
4 on the bounce for Motherwell, I just read, and 2 points behind us.
So it's something that needs sorted quickly. I'm sure the board are working extremely hard to get it done. I'm sure they've got targets lined up already, but I think the sooner rather than later, really.
And now here's the post-match thoughts of Ollie Shaw talking to Hibs TV.
Ollie, having gone a goal ahead in that game, disappointing not to take something from it?
Yeah, obviously to go in front, and obviously to lose a goal so soon after as well, and then obviously to go behind. It was a matter of us trying to chase the game and get back into the game, so it was disappointing for us to lose a goal so soon after scoring, and ultimately not getting the 3 points to the point that we needed.
From your own point of view on the score sheet, again, good strike right in the bottom corner, ball landed at your feet. Was that what was in your mind? Just hit it?
Yeah, obviously when Paul slipped the ball in, it just kind of opened up. The defence backed off, so I thought, why not have a go? we've been doing a lot of shooting and training recently as well, so I thought why not just have a go and see where it ends up, and lucky enough ended up in the back of the net.
They always say in football though you're vulnerable just after you've scored, and so that proved, as you say. We lost the equaliser pretty early after that. Defensively disappointing goal to lose?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously it was a bit of a scramble for the first goal. I'm not really sure who scored it in the end, and then obviously the second goal was just obviously it's bounced in front of he saved it, and obviously they fouled in, and it's one of those things that it happens in football, obviously. So then it gave us a hard task to try and get back into the game. Obviously we huffed and puffed and try to just really can really break them down in the end, so obviously it's disappointing for us.
Aberdeen very similar to Hearts. When they get a goal ahead, they are a difficult side to break down. They defended in numbers, and they were happy to clear the ball and just invite the pressure on and just clear the ball, and it just seemed to continue in that vein in the second half.
It got a bit frustrating for us at times. Obviously we were working the ball side to side and obviously putting balls into the box, but it just wasn't falling for us, and obviously we needed that wee bit of luck at the end of the day to try and get that goal, but unfortunately it wouldn't come for us.
I think what people forget is that Aberdeen last few seasons been second best side in Scotland. They're right up at the top end again. They are a difficult side to break down, but there was enough in there, I think, for the lads to take encouragement from. A few of the new lads got a wee run out, and it'll take them time to settle into the way that the team play.
Oh, absolutely. Obviously you're not expecting them to just come in and flourish straight away. Obviously they've trained maybe one session with us, so it'll take a wee while for them to bed in, and obviously lucky enough for us we've got a game on Wednesday that we can go and try and bounce back from. I know it'll be a tough game, but it's one we're all looking forward to, and the new boys will come in, freshen things up, and we're looking forward to that game.
Maybe a slightly different type of game at Celtic Park. Celtic will give us a bit of time on the ball, but it's important when you go to Parkhead that you take any chances that you get.
Oh, absolutely. Obviously Celtic are a class side, and obviously going there will be a difficult task in itself, but we've shown that when we've played them here that we can give them a good enough game, so we need to take that into the game through there, and obviously we'll need to set up so obviously to go and try and win the game, but obviously we know that they'll be they can cause us problems going forward as well. So as you said, it's about when we get a chance to take it and then hopefully getting something for there.
Again, you'll be hoping to start in again against Celtic yourself. You've got a good scoring record against them.
Yeah, I've obviously scored a few goals against them, but it's on the day that counts. So I see what Eddie and Grant see what they're going to pick the team to think's going to be best to win the game. So if they pick me, then I'll go out there and I'll go out and try and be a striker and score my goals as I might try and do.
And from a player's point of view, obviously there's all the stories in the press about who might come in as the next manager, the next coach, whatever we want to call the manager or the head coach. From the player's point of view, do you not let that speculation bother you? You just get out on the training pitch and keep doing what you're doing and worry about that when it happens? Yeah, absolutely. Obviously we're professionals at the end of the day. We need to just focus on the job and the games that are in front of us and the task ahead. Obviously the off-field antics will take care of themselves, and as professionals we'll go on, try and train the pitch, look forward to the next game and prepare properly for that game. So that'll do us for this week's episode. The extended highlights are there if you're a maniac, but we've got all the usual extended highlights from full matches of other games this season, as well as a huge archive of other classics. Next up is the trip to Glasgow to face Celtic at Parkhead. That match will be broadcast live on Hibs TV, I'm sure, but there'll be more information on that and tickets online. Highly unlikely there'll be a podcast from it, given that James won't make the game, but we'll see if we win. Maybe somebody will be willing to have a wee chat with us. But until the next time, my thanks to you for listening, thanks to James as always, and join us next time on The Final Whistle.